Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to our channel Grow Your Light. I am Rajiv and I want to share the purpose why we created this channel. I from my personal experience know that human beings are not static entities with fixed capacity for awareness. Our capacity for awareness is virtually infinite, limitless. So when we say grow your light, we are using the metaphor of light to indicate the light of wisdom, awareness, which is an antidote to darkness, which can be compared to ignorance. Ignorance of who we are, our limitations, what are the inner blocks to our blossoming as a fully functioning human being. I teach a course called Management of Self for Success and Happiness at Amrita School of Business, Coimbatore, for the last 13 years. And often my students have asked me to share my ideas with the world at large. So this is my endeavor to maybe go out in the world and share these ideas which many students have found very useful in their personal and professional lives. So if you look at man can be compared, like any other organism to a seed. A baby is like a seed. A seed, let's say a banyan seed, can grow to its fullness if it finds the right soil, the right climate. It is nurtured and supported by the wind, the rain, the sunshine, the nutrients in the soil. All these things are required for the seed to first become a sapling, break through the resistance offered by the ground. Then, from a sapling to become a fully functioning or fully grown tree. A fully grown tree supports so much the surrounding ecosystem. Hundreds of birds can come and make nests on that tree. But so much investment, so much effort of nature goes into creating that tree. Now, only difference between a tree and a man is that a man or a human seed doesn't need to go inside the soil or doesn't need so much of air or sunshine, so to speak, to grow. I mean, of course, these things are needed. I'm not saying that pure water, air, and sunshine and good physical climate is not important. They are important for our physical well-being and health. But man is one organism in this nature which is not purely or only or solely physical in nature. Man has a very rich capacity for immense emotional and mental development, spiritual development, so much so that a man can become self-actualized, even become self-realized by identifying the true self inside and growing it to its fullest potential, where he realizes his oneness with the entire creation. So all these things are possible, but sadly or unfortunately, in modern education system, a lot of emphasis is given to technical education, in growing people who are well equipped to fulfill the different jobs that are provided for them by society. But very little emphasis is given to development of consciousness, development of the soul's innate potential for great wisdom, joy, peace, strength, etc. Maybe in some missionary schools or some schools, there are some courses designed for value education or moral education, or some courses on ethics, but they don't go deep enough, they don't go long enough to give a sustained input to the student to develop their fullest human potential. And this serious lacuna in the education system all across the globe is reflected in the very immature yardsticks for judgment of people's achievement or sense of accomplishment. All the yardsticks are designed to measure people's accomplishment in terms of external success, external achievements, name, fame, social status, prestige, material possessions and acquisitions that one succeeds in acquiring. So this complete obsession with the outer life leads to neglect of inner life. There is an inner life which is completely neglected in most people in today's society because of the lack of emphasis on the inner life in modern education system. So in our channel, we want to share with you resources which help you to develop by recognizing first this inner life, this inner potential, and then accepting it for what it is and nurturing it, developing it, nourishing it. And for that, lot of self-love and self-care is required. So we'll try to, to help you to realize the importance of the inner processes and the importance of the inner resources, the subjects which are designed to or devoted to developing, recognizing, nourishing this aspect of man, the inner man. So our position is that, if the inner man is taken care of, if he is helped to develop his spiritual, emotional and mental capacities, then he is able to create a beautiful outer environment around himself, be it in terms of relationships, at home and workplace, or caring for the flora and fauna around, or caring for the neighborhood, the community, the society at large. I'm talking about making a fully mature contribution as a citizen, as a member of society, to the larger society, in every role that you can visualize. Be a father, be it a mother, be it a brother, sister, friend, be it a citizen, be it whatever, a professional. These innate capacities, if they develop, these ethical, spiritual, cognitive, emotional capacities, they help us to discharge all our roles in a much more fulfilling way. So I remember myself from my childhood. If I go back and see, I see that my personal awareness has not remained the same. As I have grown biologically, as I have matured emotionally, mentally, cognitively, spiritually, through all these educational inputs, through all these contemplations, meditations, experiences, as I gathered them through my life process, they have impacted my consciousness. They have helped me to mature much, much more than what I was, let's say, 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, even 5 years ago, even 2 years ago. Day by day, year by year, month by month, week by week, my personal consciousness is maturing more and more, more and more, by being engaged in this process of unfoldment from inside that I have been busy with virtually for whole of my life. I remember as a child, one teacher used to come to my house. He was very fond of me when I was, say, 3 or 4 years old. He will share stories from Ramayana, Mahabharata, etc. with me, firing my very young imagination about how Arjuna would have fought in the Mahabharata, or how Krishna would be with his Sudarshan Chakra, dancing around his finger. The Bhagavad Gita discourse that Krishna gave to Arjuna, and it has been inspiring mankind for so many thousands of years. I would often marvel about Buddha, this prince who left his family to find enlightenment, and then one day he does attain his goal, and then the impact that he had on his history. I would often marvel that how can a man sitting under a tree decide for himself that he has become enlightened? Generally, when we gain some knowledge, we go for some accreditation, some examination process. There are some teachers who have taught us, some syllabus which has been set, some questions are asked, some answers we produce, and then some experts give an opinion whether we pass or fail. But there is a man who goes out on a quest all by himself, searches all by himself, and finds all by himself, and declares all by himself that he has gained enlightenment. And not only his claim is so fantastic, but others also believe it to be true. And then the impact that he had on history, which is still being felt after 2,500 years of his death. So it used to fascinate me. What is this enlightenment? What is it that Buddha found under the Bodhi tree, which he shared, and why he has had such a deep impact? So much so that millions have followed him ever since. And they also, many of them also have seemed to gain this elusive phenomenon called enlightenment. The very word enlightenment invokes the word light, enlightenment. So you become filled with light, more and more light. So what kind of light is being referred to in this word enlightenment? So, and our channel's name is Grow Your Light. This light that perhaps Buddha referred to, and which I certainly am referring to, is this light of awareness, light of wisdom, light of knowing something to be true, the light of knowing something to be false. The light of awareness which helps us to differentiate the true from the false, the good from the dysfunctional, the immoral from the moral, the beautiful from the ugly, the true from the transitory, the transient. This light of awareness, discrimination, this wisdom, this is what we are calling as light. And this ignorance of certain factors within our psyche which block us from perceiving reality as it is, we are calling as darkness. If you look at your subjective experience, the way you perceive reality, you will notice that the way you perceive reality is completely different from the way someone else perceives reality. In the same world, in the same environment, with the same kind of materialistic level of well-being, there are some people who are deeply disturbed, deeply sad and deeply miserable. And then in a very underprivileged society with very poor materialistic conditions, there are people who are very extremely happy and peaceful and blissful and calm and loving and patient from inside. How is that possible? If the outer were to only determine the level of our inner happiness, then why people of rich countries are not all happy? And why some people in even with the most poor countries are extremely happy? Obviously, there is a limit, there is a relationship between physical prosperity and happiness to some extent. But if you go beyond that extent, I mean, the relationship is not so much, what shall I say, directly proportional. Beyond a certain threshold, if you earn wealth, it doesn't increase your happiness in the same proportion. So what could be the reason for it? So my understanding is that it is the inner perception, the inner cognitive apparatus, the way we judge reality, the way we see reality, the way we perceive things helps or hinders us from gaining this happiness. In fact, our ancient Indian tradition says that the name for our innate sense of being is Satchidananda, Sad Chid Ananda. That is, human is in essence composed of, a human soul in essence is composed of three facets or three qualities. Sad, which is eternal, everlasting truth. So this eternal, everlasting truth in us, called the Atman in Sanskrit or the soul in the West, is everlasting. It never dies. It is eternal. It is believed that it reincarnates again and again in different life forms to gain more and more experiences. It climbs along a ladder of maturity till it attains full blown maturity, when it is believed to have become enlightened. It is believed to have become a Buddha. So that is the Sad part. The Chid part is its consciousness. The soul has a consciousness through which it perceives the world around it. So what we have realized is that this consciousness, this Chid, it is the differentiating factor between a very wise sage and the most savage criminal. A sage's consciousness is peaceful, calm, clear, like a lucid lake's water. In that clear, lucid chitta or mind, the reality reflects itself in a very accurate or true manner. So, such a person displays a lot of calmness, tranquility, and serenity. If you look at Buddha's face, for example, it's an epitome of kindness, peace, tranquility, serenity. It has inspired us for so many thousands of years, that iconic figure of a person in meditation or has just come out of meditation and is enjoying this inner bliss, this inner peace, which seems to be almost undisturbable. That is the ideal for man. Can we attain a level of development of consciousness where we not only become serene and calm from inside, we start to influence our surroundings, the people around us also with the same peace? Is it possible? Is it possible for us to develop a kind of wisdom which helps us to see through the false glitter, the false maya of different things which present themselves before our consciousness as true and perhaps satisfying, but ultimately they end up deceiving us, making us addicted. So in my happiness course, I often, start my course by giving this example, you know, to illustrate difference between pleasure and happiness. See, pleasure is fleeting, comes and goes. It is related to some external object. But happiness is, you find it within. It is within. And once you attain a certain state of happiness, it kind of remains with you. It is like a background or backdrop to your coming and going moods. So moods are transient, but the state of consciousness that you attain, that is more permanent and real. So happiness is more a state of consciousness. Pleasure is temporary excitement of the consciousness which we get by engaging with something stimulating, very stimulating to our sense organs and the brain. But often, if you indulge in pleasure too much, your mind becomes weaker and weaker and weaker by becoming more and more dependent upon external objects for its sense of positive energy. So let me give an example. Suppose a person not exposed to video games is given an opportunity to play video games. A child is given an opportunity to play video games. So when he starts playing, he finds it very exciting, very fun activity, very stimulating, and he is very excited to engage in this video game. As he goes along, the game becomes faster and faster and faster. The variety of games made available to him. So more and more he loves this experience, and more he starts to crave this experience. Now if he keeps doing it for many months, a time will come when you don't allow him to play this video game. He will start to miss it. He will start to crave for it. He will develop a craving for playing these video games. Now if he is supposed to prepare for an examination, to study for an examination, he will find it very tough to concentrate because his mind will keep on going towards that video game. So this is an example of how addictions form. Whenever we become addicted to things which are not, core, which do not represent the core needs of our inner self, they kind of, drain our energy into superfluous activities and sap our mind of the internal resilience, the internal strength, the internal capacity for serenity, this tranquility that, these enlightened beings demonstrate. So idea is that mind can be compared to a deep lake or a deep ocean where the surface is very turbulent, where thoughts and emotions come and go at a very rapid pace, not like the waves of the ocean. But as you go deeper in the ocean's depths, it is very calm, very lucid and peaceful. So the third part of the name for the inner self, Sat Chit Ananda, is the Ananda. Ananda means the real bliss, the eternal happiness. That is the real happiness, the Ananda, which is nothing but our own nature, our mind's innate nature. If it can attain that inner peace, if it can become one with that core self, that is at the very core of our being, if we can cut through the maze of the immense amounts of erroneous ideas, beliefs, values, prejudice, false notions that we have gained from society, from our genes, even from our past births, God knows, from all kinds of sources. We have accumulated so much prejudice, so many preconceived notions, false ideas, false values, false beliefs, that our chitta or the mind has become clouded with all these erroneous ideas. And as a result, our mind has become a turbulent ocean, always buffeted by so many conflicting emotions, desires, values, preferences, that we become almost like a madhouse divided against its own best interests. One part of me wants to achieve something great in life. Another part of me likes to laze around and simply be a good for nothing. Another part wants to express love to my brothers, sisters, friends, but another part feels shy, withdrawn, afraid to speak up, to express the feelings, afraid to be wounded, to be hurt if they open up. Like that, there are myriad different currents, counter currents of thoughts, emotions, feelings which are going through our entire being, often triggered by the external stimuli. Many of us want to break free and have a free life of their dreams, but then are forced to work for someone else, you know, day in, day out. Majority of our waking hours are basically sold out to someone else for fulfilling their bidding. We never find the courage to break free on our own. So, heart wants to break free, but the body and the mind are compelled to work for someone else. So, what is the nature of this fear? Why this? What is the source of this fear? What are those invisible chains which chain us, which bind us to all kinds of inner and outer compulsions? Is there a way to become free? Is there a way to get out of this dark cave in which we have trapped ourselves, to find the light of happiness? Is there a way? So our answer is yes, there is a way, and the way is to grow your light. And the way to grow your light is by engaging with material coming from people, from sources which are of a higher order consciousness, more refined consciousness. There is a certain level of wisdom from different sources that we can gain to increase our inner light of discrimination, of awareness, of wisdom. And I endeavor to share these resources with you, share my own experiences, my own understanding of different facets of life with you through this channel. Now, through my lifetime of study, I have gained proficiency in certain subjects like anyone would do, which knowledge of which I will be using to share my insights with you. So among these subjects are I am a basically management scholar. I am a PhD in management from Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta. I was trained in behavioral sciences area. My doctoral work is in behavioral sciences area. It's called organizational behavior in management literature. So I'm basically OB scholar as a profession. I teach courses on leadership, business ethics, organizational behavior, and this course on happiness, which I already shared with you as a professional. But apart from that, as a hobby, I also, by studying on my own, developed a deep knowledge of astrology, homeopathy, Bach flower therapy, depth psychology, which I also teach at the PhD level in terms of a course called Theories of Personality. So I'll share my insights into different theories of personality also from time to time, astrology and other alternative healing modalities which I have learned about. And in general, whatever understanding that I have gained about different facets of life, I will share with you to help you and help myself grow more in this light of wisdom and awareness. Welcome once again. Thank you.